So that was the good friend of the show, Mr. Colin Gow, with his song Podcast. I am Steve Choney, the city manager of the city of Upper Arlington. I am joined by my co-host and sidekick.
There you go. I was waiting for it.
Mr.
This is Darren Schulman. I am for a while, at least, the city attorney until Steve tries to demote me, I guess.
I can't demote you.
No, you physically can't, but I'm already the sidekick. I used to be co-host.
Oh. Well, physically, I could come in like off the top rope and hit you with an elbow and like physically
through the table.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I wonder if people think we get along when we do this. Like we really do, but sometimes there's just like a little bit of below the surface angst.
There, we could go into this is our version of couples therapy. I think that's not Brian. Poor Brian is our therapist here. So normally we have a guest, but a staff guest, but we're not doing that today. The whole premise of this show, whether our loyal listeners, all 5, or I think we're up to like 10 loyal listeners at this point, may not have realized it, but the purpose of this is really to give you a little bit of vegetables before we give you dessert, and the vegetables being a little bit of talk about what's going on in the city. So we're going with like just one Brussels sprout today.
Just choke it down.
Just suck that thing down. And the only Brussels sprout that we're going to give you today is we're coming up on the 4th. Please go to the city website. All the information is there about what you can do on the 4th, what you can do in a golf cart, what sorts of 4th of July incendiary novelties are.
Yes, not fireworks, but some novelty devices.
Novelty devices are now legal. All that's on our website. Brian does a great job of pushing it out through social media. So that is the sum total of your vegetables for today. And we are going straight to dessert, literally going straight to dessert. Our guest today is somebody who is all about dessert.
And is so famous, she's known by like one name.
She is known by one name. Coming up for you in a minute is Jeni. Now, the other thing that I'll put out there for you to make sure you listen to the end is if you listen carefully in the end, I think you might be able to find out the real source of the power outages last week or a couple weeks ago by the time this.
Like the karma that came out.
Well, there was Jeni is so all-powerful. She made a request in what she would change about UA that it just made it happen. And it's a little bit like, what was that Jim Carrey movie where he played God and he had the thing where he pulled
Bruce Almighty.
Bruce Almighty. It was a little bit of a Bruce Almighty moment. She asked for something, and it happened, and there was all kinds of chaos.
Like not the way she probably intended.
Right. Exactly.
She didn't physically cause the power.
But I think
outage.
she spoke it into being, and I would ask all our guests to listen for that. And
please don't literally blame her for it, because she'll never come back on our show if people start.
She's not coming back on our show anyway.
she didn't know what she was getting into.
So with that, we will go straight over to the wonderful and incomparable Jeni Britton.
Podcast. Yeah, we're doing a podcast. Click the link, listen to our podcast. Yeah.
We are here with really one of the fantastic, iconic people of the food culture, not just here in Central Ohio, but really nationwide. The founder and creative director of Jeni's Splendid Ice Creams, Jeni Britton. Jeni, welcome.
Hey, it's great to be with you guys today.
So this is really amazing, because I told people we were doing this, and they're like, wait, Jeni? Like,
a lot of people will be like, the Jeni? I mean,
it's like
I always
meeting-
feel like my first name is actually the.
yes.
So,
it's like
it's so
meeting
funny.
McDonald. It's like there's
Is
or
there
Wendy.
one?
It's like, you're meeting Jeni?
So when did we get to be
The Darren and Steve.
Yeah, maybe never. Probably never.
I
Okay.
mean, you are on your way.
We-
You got your cardigans, you got your thing, you got your shtick.
we're
You know,
branded.
You're here. You are.
We've got the cardigans.
Well on your way.
So thanks for
be.
coming on. So one thing we start every episode with is Darren and I both like listening to podcasts, and there's something I picked up from a couple sports podcasts that I listen to, and it's called Start Bench Cut. So we're going to give you 3 things So if this was a sports team, which one would you be starting? Which one would you bench to have in reserve? And which one would you get rid of?
But we're shifting it for her.
But yes, we are shifting.
You better, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
I know.
I am not a sports.
All right, so I'll lean in.
Yeah, go ahead, lean
You
in.
can slap me if it's ridiculous. So Jeni's, at least I associate Jeni's with like really, I don't want to say crazy flavors, but unique flavors, exotic flavors. So is that fair?
Well, I thought we were going to go with the basic flavors first.
Oh, you want to go basic flavors first?
Let's go basic flavors
All right,
first.
hold mine in reserve.
So you got to rank these.
Okay.
One of them you can eat like every day. One of them you get just once a quarter. One of them you can never eat again.
It's
Oh, okay,
gone.
so that's the
That's the start,
Start, bench,
bench.
cut. That's
You
the
don't
food.
need to know anything
I'm
about
not
sports.
learning something
That's
about
the
sports.
food
Okay, great.
version of this.
No
This is
sports
good. I like
related.
yeah, I like this. Okay, cool.
Chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, and you can't say Neapolitan.
You can't combine them into one.
Ooh. Okay, so I have to choose, like,
Which, by the way, I
basically
called Napoleon when I was growing up.
Yeah.
the order. Napoleon.
That's like my ice cream joke.
Actually,
I thought it
this
was
is
Napoleon
really
ice cream.
good. I think we should do Napoleon ice cream. I think that would be really
If
good.
Jeni's does Napoleon ice cream, I will license that to you.
But then make it really basic, like it's a mistake.
That would be really cool if you did like Neapolitan and called it Napoleon and did something really kind
I
of
just
funky
didn't say
about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so chocolate, vanilla, strawberry in order of preference.
Yeah, that's fair.
Basically.
But the key is like one of them you get to eat whenever you want. One of them you can
One's
only eat on
gone.
and then one of them's gone.
Like it does not exist in the world anymore.
Okay, great. Okay, so that is really hard. I love, of course, all three of those. I'm gonna do the standard, the way that like every ice cream maker probably thinks, and I have my own way of thinking about it, and put vanilla at the top because it is so beautiful, and has so many flavors that sort of bloom when you eat it. I don't think of it as plain or basic at all, and also even like a simple vanilla, even like a non, let's say, expensive vanilla, is beautiful also, and it is so versatile. It highlights anything you put it next to. So peach cobbler, or strawberries from the raccoons ate all my strawberries this year, but whatever, growing in my driveway. But anyway, it's beautiful. Okay, so the next two are going to be the hardest. I think I'm going to have to go chocolate next, and then strawberry has to disappear, because I
Because
can
the
make
raccoons ate
strawberries-
yours.
I know, right? Well, they did. Oh. But I'm really putting a lot of thought into this. But like, I think we can slice strawberries, soak them in sugar for half an hour, and put them on vanilla, and that will substitute for the strawberry never existing. Some of the things, one of the bad things about strawberry ice cream. This is
No, I love
very
it.
long
Like
answer.
this is the greatest technical answer we've ever received on a dumb question before. I love it.
One of the things about strawberry, it's not our strawberry, but is that a lot of times people, ice cream makers will put chunks in the strawberry ice cream, chunks of strawberries, but they get really icy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't really taste them. So so I think the best thing to do is vanilla, then chocolate, and the strawberry. Because chocolate is also versatile, but and beautiful in its own way. And
Here's the one problem with your answer. That is the definitive right answer, and no one can argue with it because you gave it such a
Well,
good
because
explanation.
Jenny gave it,
Yeah.
so by definition, no one can argue
But
with it.
even like the technical analysis as to why, like, how can anyone disagree with that? Buy strawberry, it's gone. Strawberry
Yeah.
fans
See ya.
are sad.
Yeah.
They
I
can't
love
argue with
it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love strawberry ice cream so much.
But
We
you-
just had the strawberry festival that we throw every year, non-COVID years. But
Yeah.
just beautiful. We work with Mike Hirsch and his brother Steve. We've worked with him. I mean, he's my age, so we literally grew up in the market together.
Awesome.
From the 90s on, and he's growing our strawberries. So this is that's a big deal. But the strawberries are so beautiful that we could just put them right on the ice cream.
Well, you
and-
kind of gave them an out. Like they still
Yeah,
get
exactly.
to eat strawberry like ice cream is with the vanilla. So.
We get to have our ice cream and eat it too.
Nice.
In this case.
So now the next one was 3 foods that to kind of outside the box for ice cream flavors. So I'll let Darren give these.
Okay.
Yeah, so these are things that like maybe like one of those cooking competitions you have to do, or I was mentioning
Okay.
I like to go to Jenny's and like try the kind of off the beaten path flavors. So kale, asparagus, mushrooms, and these are for ice cream flavors. And one you got to sell in your store. So one is the new Jenny's flavor, one you got to eat it yourself, and then one is gone. You don't have to make anything with it.
Okay, cool. This is great. First of all, asparagus is an old American flavor. It's Thomas Jefferson grew asparagus and is famous for making asparagus ice cream. So, I mean,
really?
he made every ice cream. Yes.
Are you
yes.
just saying that? Is that real?
No, it's real. You can look it up.
We knew that, didn't we, Steve?
This came from all your legal training. He was such a great legal mind that somewhere in the back of your brain you picked up the trivia that it's somewhere in your one of your constitutional law professors must have said something about Thomas Jefferson.
I feel smarter now. Is that real?
No, he's real. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is genius.
But I still don't think it would be very good. The thing about ice cream is that everybody, since ice cream was invented, since it was created, when you start making it, you're like, geez, almost everything like actually kind of works in ice cream. You can put almost anything in ice cream and it's not bad. It may not be like the greatest thing.
Except for asparagus.
But asparagus is one I'm going to like cancel. Like we're not going to do asparagus.
Even though it's good enough for Thomas Jefferson.
It's good enough for
It is not
Jefferson.
good enough for Jeni.
Nope. No. I would say, okay, so we're going to go in order, right? So we're going to
one of them you're going to
mix asparagus.
Versus gone. Which one are you going to eat personally? Which one
And
is
then there's
sold at
mushroom,
Jeni's?
and then there's kale.
Kale.
Okay. Kale isn't going to have a lot of flavor. It's going to have that sort of metallic thing, but a lot of green. So people choose with their eyes a lot, and that could be really cool and really just be like a sort of sweet cream ice cream by the time it's all said and done. Still not very exciting.
But it's green.
It's green, and I was thinking, like, could we, like, fry it or, like, make it crispy? But, like, not really, because it just gets soft in the ice cream. It would end up being, like, So that's going to go probably in the middle because, it's boring but beautiful, like kale. And then mushroom would be fantastic.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. There are so many different kinds of mushrooms.
So that was going to be my follow-up. Well, which kind of mushroom are you going with?
Golly, I mean, I'll tell you what I wouldn't go with, which is another Thomas Jefferson flavor, is the oyster mushrooms, and he was using actual oysters, but because they do have that sort of like fish flavor, which we don't want in the ice cream. So I would probably do something like my friend Hilario grows mushrooms here in Columbus. He's a kid farmer, but he's like probably
I've met
16
Hilario.
now. He's amazing, and he grows like some shiitakes, but he can like make this like bacon crazy how much it tastes like bacon, and that would be amazing in ice cream. And actually, like, I would sell it in stores, I would eat it, it would be like amazing.
I actually shared a stage with that kid. So
He's wonderful.
Yeah, John. Do you know Johnny DiLoretto?
Yeah.
So Johnny was doing like a Thursday Night Live sketch thing down at what's the sketch comedy place downtown?
That one place.
Shadowbox.
Okay.
Down at Shadowbox, and he had me on when I was doing the Columbus thing, and the kid was the intro thing. He was amazing, and at that point he was
amazing.
like 10.
Yeah, he's wonderful. I don't know when he actually started, but maybe like 8 or 10. I think I met him when he was about 10 also, and it must have been earlier than that. Anyway, yeah, he's incredible.
I'm just shocked. I would have put mushrooms gone.
Mushrooms are just like, there's just so many kinds of mushrooms. And that's what makes it so different. And also, so the other thing is my really good friend, Alexis Nicole, she's a Black Forager on Instagram and TikTok, and like millions of followers. She's amazing. She's local. And she and I will go forage, but she will find the mushrooms that, I don't know, there's mushrooms out there that taste like anything you want it to taste like. Mm-hmm. So that would be really fun too.
So, do you like watching cooking shows? I mean, is that a thing?
Never. No.
Never.
I can't. I know, it's so funny. I can't. First of all, I know half the people on them.
Right.
And also, like, I just spend my time thinking about food, so that's flavor and all of that. So it's just like, I don't know. It's just not something I would do in my.
Really.
It's also not what inspires me. I totally understand why people watch them, but no, I couldn't.
So you dropped a little reference there that you know most of these folks. Is there like a community of like big time food chef type people? Like, are you all kind of a crew that you're on a text chain or something?
Yeah, we're on a WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
No, it's true. It actually is kind of true. And, we just see each other around, and everybody's just a normal person, of course. And so I have like various groups. It's the other group that I'm very connected with is like female entrepreneurs in America at all scale and level. And yeah, there are like WhatsApp groups, and we're always in touch, but even more on the female entrepreneurs, or just entrepreneurs in America, than even the food people. But the food, yeah, it's like just my network is just the people that I know, because we do work together. So you'll see like what happens actually. You're at like, I don't know, the Austin Food Festival or whatever it is, and there's all the like famous personalities or whatever. But really, behind the scenes for like 10 hours before the festival starts, we're all like hauling shit around and like sweaty and working and like whatever. And then the gates open and we're like
Glamorous
switch the jacket and like make it look like we didn't do any work to be here.
Yeah.
But that's what I know about all those personalities is like the hard work that they do.
So what do you do to get away from food when you need a break from thinking about food? What's that thing for you?
Many things. And it's not just food for me, but it's also business because it's such a slog. It's such a hard thing to do. And also being a public person, I go to the forest. I mean, I go every single day. I'm going to go when I leave here. I go to the river too, just right down the street. So I'll go to the forest every day and the river every day, both usually. But I have to be out there. And what I do is connect. So I just listen, feel, like I just sensorially connect with everything. The breezes, if it's like sleeting, I'll still be out there. If it's snowing, it doesn't matter. And I love the forest. Like every day it's different. And I notice that. I was out there last Monday and no joke, a tiny just born baby deer walked out and greeted me and just hung out with me for a little while. The mom was right off the trail. Just hung out with me. It stepped on my shoe and I took a picture. It was like,
Wait,
so
what?
cute. Yeah.
Wow.
And then just a couple days ago, scary. I was at Clear Creek, which is one of the metro parks, but it's about an hour away. One of my favorite. I was walking by. There's a big creek there and some tall grasses, which you should just not do. And the most massive snake I have ever seen. I didn't know we had snakes like this in Ohio. It was huge. I thought, it was like it was like a boa constrictor. I mean, it was huge and very dark gray and intimidating and very difficult, like to, moment for me. But I just kept walking.
So where's your favorite outdoor place in the world?
In the world?
Yep. Like if you were going to take a vacation and go to the woods somewhere, what woods do you? Well,
that's
woods,
a tough one because
yeah.
I mean, there are so many gorgeous, forests, and I'm just super connected to the forest. I mean, I grew up in Illinois where we actually had our own forest, and so I do like these sort of midland forests. That's where I connect most with. But I love, of course, the sequoia forests. They're like the forests of the Northwest, and I would love to explore forests all over the world. But I go to Chestnut Ridge a lot here, and I like know all the trees. Like I really feel like. I like really know that place, and so there's something about that too. But if I was going to take a vacation, I'd just go explore any forest. You invite me anywhere. There's just so many around the world. I was in Costa Rica like 2 weeks ago, and in the rainforest there, it was just amazing. It's like so cool and so different. I was in Chile a couple years ago, and it's like upside down where it's like the trees are like. First of all, it's like the place in America where I like San Francisco where like palm trees and the pine trees all grow together. And so it's I had never noticed that before in America, but like in Santiago or outside of Santiago, you see that where it's like the South and the North are kind of combined. It's just so cool. So there's just I don't know, always something to.
When you're in, are you just kind of like chilling out or are you thinking about the next big thing for Jeni's when you're doing that? Like, are you clearing your mind and not thinking about it, or are you focusing in on it?
It depends on the day. And if I want to not think about it, or, it's so many other pressures of being an entrepreneur. So there's, of course, all the ideas, which I'm on the hook for, but also I've been doing that for 26 years. So ideas are pretty easy for me now. But it's all the other pressures of business, and partners and all the things that you have to grapple with as an entrepreneur, as a founder. And so if I want to clear my energy of that or get away from that, I will actually run on the trail. And so when you engage everything, you're mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical, then you kind of clear. You can't really think, especially when you're running trails, because if your mind is somewhere else, you'll get hurt. Yeah. And so I love doing that. That's been really healing for me. Entrepreneurs tend to push themselves to their breaking point. And that was what was very healing for me over the last several years. It's just getting out there and running so that I can't think,
Can we talk a little bit? I know Jeni's is one of those brands now where everyone just knows Jeni's, but I mean, you have a cool story that many people are aware, but some people might not be. Can you give us kind of the genesis of Jeni's for people who might not be familiar?
Yeah, I mean, well, for this conversation, it starts here in Arlington, actually. I was 15 and Graders opened. And I had always known that I wanted to work at an ice cream shop, that I love that culture. I grew up, I mean, my grandmother would take us to Howard Johnson's, like to sit and
Which,
get
by the
ice
way,
cream.
the last one officially just
wonderful.
closed.
Did it really?
Yeah. I saw it in the
Jacques
paper.
Pepin
this
worked
week.
for Howard Johnson. I mean, it's an amazing story. But I used to love to go there with my grandmother in Illinois, and Haagen-Dazs and Ben & Jerry's and all of that happened in the 80s and 90s. And I really liked ice cream culture. I liked what ice cream was, and I knew that for some reason, I just knew that my first job would be an ice cream shop. But I moved to Arlington when I was 15, and there wasn't an ice cream shop. And then suddenly, Graeter's was building and coming in, their first store in Columbus. And I was really shy, and I mean, deadly shy. Like I've thrown up on teachers when I've had to like speak out loud in class, right? So very shy, but I knew I wanted a job, and I really needed one. We didn't have money as a family, and we're kind of a broken family, and so I needed to like actually support myself even from the time I was 15 if I wanted any money or freedom, and I thought a job was freedom. So I walked to Graeter's and I knocked on the door, and I got the job when I was 15. I was just about to turn 16, and I opened the store with them, and I loved it. Then Le Chatelaine opened, and oh my goodness, when they first opened, the family was like, I mean, they still are there. They speak, French, and it was like glamorous, and their whole kitchen, everybody, they were all like amazing. So I moved over there. So now I'm connecting ice cream with pastry and with French. I mean, Gigi would literally grow raspberries in her garden and then bring them in, and they would make tarts out of them back then. And all of the chefs were from all over France, and like the whole, like there was me and my friend Nicole. We were like the only two English-speaking people for a while there, or like, the only people who only spoke English. Everybody else was like English and mostly French. So it was an amazing atmosphere. And of course, back then too, like there were like French people coming in and drinking like Baba Boudin coffee from Stoff's and smoking like filter cigarettes in the back. I mean, it was like the old school coffee shop for a little while back then, when coffee shops were where information was exchanged. And it was so amazing to have that experience as like a 16, 17, 18-year-old. And I loved it. So anyway, so for me, like connecting then like my love of ice cream with my growing love and understanding of what ingredients were. I mean, I remember being in their pantry, and it was like Moroccan apricots and like Valrhona chocolate, and these chefs with these like very specific techniques. And then I went to art school and was there for a little while and started making ice creams myself. And I realized that ice cream was all about scent. And I had actually met this Parisian guy at Le Chatelaine who was studying scent at Ohio State. And this is like a different way of me telling the story too, because it's so Arlington focused, and it's like the real story. So I met this guy Julie, and I adored him, and he was studying perfume, and I realized how close, like I love my like sense of smell, and then I realized ice cream was all about scent, vanilla, chocolate, raspberry, like really when you put them in ice cream, it's all about how the scent is unfolding, and I was just hooked from that moment on. I thought ice cream. I had worked at this sort of traditional American ice cream shop, which is wonderful. Ben & Jerry's was coming along, and they were like the junk food fun ice cream, which I loved to this day. But there was nobody really like serving like my friends, the like artists, creatives, skateboarders, record shop owners, all my friends. Like I was like, I wonder if we could make ice creams that would be sort of adventuresome for these people, but also like, can ice cream tell stories and connect people? And that was it. I walked out of art class, started in the North Market. That was in 1996. Started gathering ingredients from the market, and that was when I just began to learn about ingredients. And it was the best place. A person can learn how to be an entrepreneur. A person can learn how to be a community-spirited, creative leader. Everything I learned in the market.
That's awesome.
And then it was like, now we're 26 years later, and all those things. That's the beginning of the story, the genesis.
Amazing. So you've done a great thing. You've done great things. You're so creative. I mean, Darren and I struggle with this, where there's copycats that come along.
Yeah, like the ice cream industry and other industries.
And like
are also
podcasting, there's copycats that come along. I mean, how do you deal with it?
It's infuriating. And so, for me, it was like 2005, 2007. I start to get press, and then I start to see all over the country, people quitting their fancy, corporate jobs and pretending that they started an ice cream shop in a market, and like literally my exact story, and even like wearing my same outfit. And I'm like,
and their name was like Benny and Benny,
Penny, or whatever, like
Fenny.
No. But that's a marker of you doing an awesome job. But the other thing, and how you deal with it is like put blinders. I mean, it's really hard. It actually is hard because you're like, you just see people doing everything that you're doing, and then getting credit for it sometimes, and you're like, but wait, that was me, and
So if you were like the
ultimately-
genesis of like a hit podcast
Yeah.
for a city and like another
and
city,
nobody else is really doing it,
no
and
one-
then
and then they start doing it.
And then they like get their own. They like have a consulting firm helping them with their
oh,
marketing.
see,
and all
that's
that kind of
this
stuff.
is the thing. You get see for me, that's the Harvard Business School guy who thought he could do it better than me, but copied my exact packaging.
Yeah.
And where is he now? Nowhere. So no, you just like sometimes I will I like imagine myself doing like roundhouse kicking people in the face or something like that, like you're just like if I ever see that woman in the grocery store aisle, like I'll just but those are fun things. But ultimately, looking back over 26 years of doing this and having this, I mean, there was one guy who started like, it's not there anymore, but Denise's Ice Cream in Columbus. And when he first came here, he was from Boston, where like Boston like thinks they have like they're like the ice cream capital of the United States, and well, they maybe were in like the 70s or whatever, but whatever. So he came to Columbus and he was like, I'm going to be the king of ice cream in the Midwest. I mean, he just had this attitude. And he came to me, and I had this young guy working with me, and he like was kind of slimy. He had this like pewter like ice cream cone earring that was like dangling in one ear.
Can't do that.
Yes. And he like put two fingers on his business card and he goes, do you know who I am? And he slid it across the table or like across the counter to me. And Matthew, this at the time he was young, I'm still friends with him, he's now in his 30s, but at the time he was 16, we were both like, who is this guy? And he was like, do you know who I am? And I'm like, no. And he's like, I own Denise's Ice Cream or whatever. You're like,
All right.
great, buddy. And he was like, I can do everything that you're doing better. I know how you do everything. So then he started making salty caramel. He was making black raspberry chip. He was just really aggressive to all the ice cream makers. But anyway,
Were you the
where
first
is he?
salted? You were the first salted caramel, right?
Yeah.
So that is like now become a flavor like cookie dough, where it's like
Yeah.
a standard flavor. Does that? I mean, we're joking
See,
about our
right.
nemesises who don't know that we're their rivals.
Yeah.
But like, does that drive you nuts? Because like, that is a legit flavor now.
Sort of. It sort of does, but then also in order to be a trend, you have to have other people doing it. You can't be the only one, or it's not a trend. And so we just do it better. And this is where I was going to go. Like, what I've learned is that it's actually pretty easy, because people who copy are in it for like the very shallow, right? They don't understand, right? And that's just literally everyone. All of our sort of copycats are so far behind us because of that. They're just in this like shallow, like, we can process this, we can put this into a process linear thing, and we can make it, and it's going to be, they think they're brilliant, like geniuses at like, we're going to take what she's doing or what you guys are doing, and then make it into this sort of thing. But the truth is, it's actually really easy to be better than them, especially when your heart's in it and you know why you're doing it. That's the thing. The reason they're doing it is because you're doing it. That's not enough rocket fuel, to actually be really good at it.
I am also going to thank you that if I ever have like a nemesis or something, I am not going to envision myself roundhouse kicking them in the face. I am going to envision you
Yes.
roundhouse kicking them in the face for me.
Oh, I
So if
need
that's
that.
Okay.
Like, yes. No, I just think it's the most. It like ticks you down. Like, it's the most funny image in the world, and it like makes me laugh so hard.
That is really funny, because the city manager of our nemesis is somebody who I've been friends with him and his wife for literally decades now, and I am going to envision you roundhouse kicking him in the face.
But no, in the freezer aisle at the grocery store.
So you mentioned the grocery
Yeah, he's
store.
picking out. This is the whole story. He is listening to himself doing the podcast, and he's picking out a competitor's rip-off brand, and then
Yes.
and you jump out and you kick him in
Hey,
the
buddy.
face.
Darren's going to write a whole comic book.
Yeah.
Darren's going to get a comic book done that does this. Somehow that's good. Darren's a
So
comic
good.
book geek, so.
Oh, good. Yes. Well,
among-
so like, I mean, that's it. I don't know. It's like sometimes you do have to like imagine yourself as like a superhero or like a fantasy character or whatever. So,
I'm more of a sidekick in my own
Yes.
comic book, apparently.
Sidekicks are important.
He just finally admitted he's the sidekick.
Yeah, we have a friendly rivalry.
We
but
do.
I know where I am. I'm a sidekick.
I love you, brother. So you mentioned the grocery store. Do people ever walk up to you in the grocery store and be like, "Hey, Jenny, would this random thing do what we just did to you? Would this random thing that I just picked up in the produce aisle would this
Oh,
work
that's
as an
funny.
ice cream?"
No, they don't. I've never had anybody do that. But definitely, like, when I leave my home in Columbus, I have to be ready to answer people's questions,
Yeah.
because whether it's walking around the neighborhood or in the store. So I'll be like, picking out toothpaste at Target or whatever, and this just something will happen. Somebody will be like, Jeni, and I'm like, yes, and it'll be like, oh hey, I was just wondering, are you ever gonna make the mango cardamom pistachio that you made? I think it was in 2002. Like literally, people are like, and I'm like, God, I hadn't thought about that flavor in a long time.
I'll do it.
Are you right? Okay, so but like people remember all the flavors, and it's so interesting. And I'm like, I'm really not sure. Maybe, but it's so funny. They're very specific.
So I remember running into you in the grocery store one time and being really self-conscious about what I had in my basket.
Oh my God. No, it's the opposite.
Well,
I'm always thinking
figured.
people are looking in my basket because it's always got like Eggo waffles. I mean, like my son, like one of the only things he eats are the Eggo. Wait, is that what they're called?
Yeah, Eggo waffles.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Lego, but no, that's the other thing. Eggo pancakes with chocolatey chips. They're not even real chocolate chips. So sometimes I have like 8 boxes of those in my cart, and like you're just a parent. You just do what you have to do to get your kids to eat something.
Yeah.
And he will eat those pancakes and an apple and some yogurt, and that's about it. And so whenever they're there, I'm like pulling them all off the shelf, and I'm always thinking like, I'm sure that there are parents like right now judging me.
When you're at the grocery store, do you just have to buy like a case of Jeni's ice cream just so if people see you, they're like, look, I think it's good, I'm buying it? Like, do you just always have one in your cart? Like, even if
it's funny. I actually do a lot of times because it's just it's like literally convenient for me to grab it in the grocery store. So I
can
do
you
a lot
just
of
take it
times.
for free? Or like, yo, this is me, I'm Jeni. Like,
Right.
I'm
No, I just go in there and sign them.
Yeah, I'm gonna sign 4 for you. I'm taking the rest.
No, I do. I mean, I actually do buy it. I buy it at Giant Eagle or Whole Foods. Whole Foods has some exclusive flavors that I sometimes can't even get at Jeni's.
So talk to me a little bit about the decision to go from like a lot of chains or restaurants, whatever, they start doing that, allowing in the grocery store thing. Like, what goes in that decision? Because there's a special thing about going to the ice cream shop and doing the little samples and picking it out, and then you're going, but there's obviously probably a more wider audience to go into a grocery store.
Yeah, and it was always part of the plan. But there's a lot of ways to do business and to create a company, and to create products like this. And a lot of companies will have sort of a different product for the grocery store than they would sell in their stores. Ours is exactly the same. So the same pints that you get at the store, the same ice creams, the same batches exactly are everywhere. So it's kind of beautiful in that way. A lot of times I feel like chefs, when they put products in grocery stores, it's like engineered for the grocery store, and they're not great. But this is like exactly the same. So it's it's beautiful, and it's always part of the plan of like, for us, it's like in our stores we can be like the test market. So we don't over R&D all of our stuff. If we love it, we put it out, and then we listen to what people say, and if they love it, we'll put it out the next year, and eventually it sort of becomes a grocery flavor if people love it. And then sometimes we create flavors just for grocery, which is a whole different thing. Like in grocery, you have to be able to like taste it with your eyes, because you can't taste it. So that's been a super fun project too. And then of course packaging, which we do all in-house. We do all of our art in-house, just on a small team for that reason too. So it's like it's kind of a fun, completely different business, and then even online, our online store is our biggest store, and that's been really fun because they're all different customers.
Do you want to pitch the collab we came up with for?
Yeah.
We're basically trying to take your business to the next level with all of our crazy ideas like mushrooms and asparagus and stuff.
So we recently, last week, did we release our podcast that we did with Lisa Ingram? I'm looking at Brian. So we had Lisa.
Producer
Cool.
Brian. He gets a title.
Producer
I'm
Brian.
like an armchair White Castle historian.
Oh my God, you have got to listen to. I don't think Jeni's listened to many of our podcasts before. I think
I think she's got stuff to do.
I've listened to one.
You did, yeah. So
The one we're recording.
So there's one more
But
you
now I'm
need to
going
listen
to.
to.
This is
Actually,
super
there's
fun.
a couple that you need to listen to. But we released one that we did with Lisa Ingram. And first of all, she walks in with her White Castle sneakers on.
Like they're like official White Castle Pumas.
Oh, cool.
It's
They
not
did
like
a
some sneaker with stickers on it.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
just legit White Castle.
They did a
hamburger.
collaboration with Puma, and they're pretty sweet.
Yes, I would totally wear those.
So, we knew we were going to have you on. You were on the schedule, and we thought it would be really cool to have like this Upright in Columbus ultimate food collaboration
Oh, Jesus.
with you guys in White Castle.
White Castle, Jeni's ice cream. Can you make ice cream with White Castle. You managed to make something with mushrooms and
I know.
kale.
That's so funny.
I mean, because you could get the onions, you could do something with like their waffles or something. Although your waffles are pretty. No, never mind. Your waffles are amazing.
And I wouldn't even go the sweet route or any of that. Like I would try to get that. So my White Castle order is, the double cheeseburger, and it's like, every time I eat that, I think no one can cook better than this. Like I'm like, bring it on, Thomas Keller. Like you can't make anything better than this. I don't know what they do. It is so perfect and beautiful.
When you listen to the podcast, you'll find out what they do.
Oh, okay. It's so.
I love how Steve is like actively just trying to get
listen.
one more listen. Like we need the downloads.
We're pushing 15 at this point.
No, it's I don't know. Could we do that? I think it would be fun to do.
Lisa
kind
did
of
not like sign off on this either. We're just pitching
Okay.
you first.
we're just pitching now.
It's like Puma and White Castle, and we're gonna do Jenny's and White Castle. This is good, or White Castle and Jenny's. They would be like I love it. The other thing is I like them together because I love the idea that like I said, like the double cheeseburger. Like I don't think anybody can make something better than that. And I don't know, it's like $1.50 or something. It's like that sort of high low, but like also high, like really really tasty.
With some vanilla ice cream.
And then
actually,
it's like
this
we
is a
do
good
like an
question.
ice cream and like
If you refuse to make White Castle flavored ice cream, or I know you're thinking about it and you're probably going to do it after this show's over, but could you come up with a pairing of the best Jenny's flavor with a White Castle slider? If I wanted to pull which I'm probably
totally.
going to do today now.
I think that we
double-
know what we're doing for lunch.
Yeah, if we're doing the double here, I'm getting White Castle and a flavor of Jenny's. What is it?
I mean, you could go a couple ways. I mean, I like the idea of vanilla with that because it's sort of classic,
Yeah.
like the milkshake. And our vanilla is really good, and like I feel like.
Yeah, we got to go funkier
That would be
than
nice.
that. I want a Jenny's flavor, not,
Okay, so let's see. I would also do something. I would also go the like fancy way of like the frosé, which is like frozen rosé, and that would be really funny because it sort of would
Frosé and a
right.
slider.
It would be like kind of perfect, right?
That would be perfect for White Castle on Valentine's Day. They do this
Oh
whole.
yes, they
Right.
do.
That would be like the perfect.
But also, it would be a cool like summer Arlington festival. It's like the White Castle double cheeseburger, which so amazing with and frosé festival,
I'm in.
right?
So we're
Arlington's known for our
we're doing
amazing festivals.
We're doing Arts on Arlington.
That could be the Labor Day,
Oh man,
like. I
would-
don't know. That
I
could be
would
pretty
that
fun.
would be.
Yeah.
I'm
it's
surprised
like-
by the frosé pairing. Now I'm intrigued.
I think
I'm not a wine guy, but I have had the frosé. It is good.
I haven't
it's
had the
really
frosé. I didn't realize
good,
you guys
and it's
did frosé.
perfect for summer.
Do you sell those at the shops, or where do you sell the frosé?
Yeah, and it's a woman-owned winery in Napa and it's delicious. And also, it doesn't have like alcohol in it. Just a.
Oh.
It's lower than.
Steve's out.
Yeah, like it's lower than vanilla, so it's okay for like
Oh, all
kids
right,
and whatever.
fine.
Like it's not. It's really
But you
like
still
strawberry
feel
and
weird.
watermelon and whatever. but-
Giving it to your kids still probably makes you feel weird though. Like even if you promise there's no alcohol in it, like here's some frosé.
It's
kids.
funny, like a lot of kids don't really know what it is, and parents are like, "Yeah, my kid's favorite flavor is the frosé," and I'm like, "Don't worry about it. It doesn't have alcohol. It's fine, whatever." But like, it's
Can
yeah,
you
it's
make
fun.
a leaded version of it?
Well, it's amazing with like a shot of tequila on it or some champagne, so you can use it as a mixer.
A frosé float with champagne?
Yeah.
And a
So like,
slider.
okay, so this is the festival. We just created a new festival. It's the slider, but I think the double because you have to have like all of that fat, all of that,
I like where you're
um,
going, but I would probably just be honest and just get the crave case.
Yes,
Like
well,
I'm not
true.
going in one
True.
slider. I'm getting the whole box.
A crate.
Can you get a crave case of doubles? Because that's like,
I don't know.
I bet you can.
I'm sure you
If you
can.
pay them, they'll probably do it.
Yeah,
I'm
right?
I'm sure Lisa's going to listen.
that's
to this
where I'm
and
going
respond
after this. We've
immediately.
already talked about this so much that like I'll be.
That's
okay.
what we did. That's what we did after we had Lisa on. We went for lunch, and we said the other thing we said when we did that is, oh my gosh, why didn't we do
At her place.
at her place? And we said we're definitely going to arrange with Jenny to do this at a scoop shop, and we.
Failed.
Oh, that's so
failed.
Because
funny.
now I'm thinking about
It's-
ice cream and sliders.
I know we're just.
I
anyway.
should have brought ice cream for breakfast. That's a good breakfast.
Hey, so in season 2, when we have all our favorite guests come back,
Yeah.
put a pin on that. You.
Mm-hmm,
Well, we should have an episode with both of them where they can like plan this festival that we came up with.
That would be awesome. I think the point was we're supposed to plan it though.
I'll plan it. I mean, they'll bring the stuff. Okay. So
Yeah. Lisa and I will show up.
So
All
I
right,
mentioned
game
how
on.
salty caramel has kind of become like a flavor that everyone has now, and I don't know if you're going to want to answer this because I'm kind of inviting people to like rip you off again. But what would be the next big flavor that you've got like that jumps into the mainstream? Because you know what I'm saying? Like cookie
Yeah,
dough
I
was.
mean-
I remember when cookie dough came out and it blew my mind, and now everyone's got one. Everyone's got a salty
Oh,
caramel. What is
gosh.
the next big Jenny's creation?
I mean, the brown butter almond brittle. Brown butter has become kind of a thing. But you know, it's funny when I see like Haagen-Dazs, because I think our competition is like Haagen-Dazs and Ben and Jerry's. You know, like I'm just like, and Haagen-Dazs is kind of trying to find their way right now. And so I see that they just keep trying to kind of do what we're doing. Like for a while, they put like artisans, like pictures of them on the pint, which nobody cared about. But now it's like they're like doing versions of Brambleberry Crisp and that kind of stuff. And they've got this new packaging, which is actually pretty beautiful. And I love Haagen-Dazs. But I think that like Brambleberry Crisp and actually those like sort of American Bake Shop flavors that we do really well, they're like Willy Wonka flavors. Like when you eat our powdered jelly donut, like somehow it actually feels like you're eating a donut.
How do you
maple
do
soaked
that?
pancakes?
Yeah, I was going to say when you're the Brambleberry Crisp is one of my favorites. That ability to keep that crisp in an ice cream.
That's
I
our
don't know
recipe.
I don't know what the magic wand is that you wave over it to do it, but it's amazing.
Mostly it's freshness. I mean, our ice cream just doesn't sit around for that long, even if you buy it in the grocery store. So what happens in ice cream is that, and ice cream makers will use this actually, and there's so much amazing chemistry in ice cream, but ice cream is never actually fully frozen, and so that sugar syrup will get absorbed by the whatever dry pieces you put in there, and you can use that. So like in the maple soaked pancake, we want that. So the piece we put in there is very dry so that it will purposely absorb the maple and become its own sort of thing. But sometimes we want it to stay crispy, and it's a recipe that has a little more fat in it so that it doesn't have that sugar exchange, and so it doesn't absorb the sugar.
I'm amazed by how much science you're putting into this, because I think you alluded to this earlier. My vision of ice cream is like, I got myself some vanilla and I'm going to throw in some Reese's Pieces or whatever, but
It's funny because, when you're in the creative space or when you look creative or like, ice cream is a creative thing and we do art and all of that, they sort of keep you there, but actually, and also I get a lot of people are like, what do? You just throw things at the wall and see what sticks. Like there's like, it's just literally like, oh, here in my kitchen, I have all this stuff. Let's throw it in a bowl and then take a bite. And nobody would ever do that. I mean, there's a lot of like thinking that goes into, of course, flavor and what works together and whatever. But even more than that, I don't get to talk about it very much, but I do at schools sometimes, is the science. Because if you want to make really great ice cream, you have to be really great at thinking like a molecule. And I studied art, and I did not want to study here at Upper Arlington High School. I did not want to take math and science. I always had to take it in summer school because I really disliked being in those classes. It just wasn't for me. And I was taught too. I actually didn't go to Arlington my entire life, but so I don't want to put this on the Arlington, teachers. But when we were growing up, I think it's a little less so today, but still similar. If you were an art kid, you were like not a science and sport kid, and you really like weren't. It was just a barrier. If you actually thought it was interesting, it was almost like people were like, oh, go back in your corner. It's interesting that way. But anyway, I learned that I love science and that science actually makes you a better artist after I got into ice cream, because I had to learn all of this chemistry. And then in learning it my way, we did it differently. And so we actually expanded the knowledge of ice cream. The way that I make ice cream is very different than the way they teach ice cream at Ohio State University. They have a big ice cream program there.
There's an ice cream program at Ohio State University?
Cornell, Penn State.
What is
have
the
big ice
best
cream programs.
ice cream program in the world?
Well, it's Penn State, and I went there and learned that, and even still do it my way, which is like nobody has ever really achieved, which is to use milk proteins to create texture and body in ice cream. And so it's in how we pasteurize. But I learned that by working at Snowville Dairy. And I learned that when we pasteurize at a different temperature and a little longer, we get stability in the ice cream, so we don't have to use stabilizers and emulsifiers and whatever. But like, it really is. I mean, the science behind it is really beautiful, and why I like to talk about whole brain. I think entrepreneurs have to be whole brain thinkers, really spherical thinkers. You have to think about efficiency, which is actually also creativity, one definition of creativity, but also this sort of molecular structure and
So
all of it.
You just came back to something I wanted to come back to, and you talked about your passion for entrepreneurship and for women entrepreneurs in particular. Talk to me about how and when you either made the realization that you needed to take your creative side to as far as it could go. You had to become an entrepreneur, or where did that passion for entrepreneurship come from?
Well, it came from my grandmother's, and it's a very clear story. One of my grandmothers was an art teacher and an English teacher at a high school in Dunlap, Illinois, and where I lived. And my other grandmother was was an entrepreneur. So she always said, if you can't find a job, make a job. So she and my grandfather would, after he got back from working at the local newspaper, the Journal Star in Peoria, I was at her house a lot. We would eat dinner, and then we would go clean an office building. That was her job, and that was her business. And so like dentist office or, whatever, she would get hired to clean these offices. And so when Enid, the artist, would teach me how to make something, so we had forest land on that side of my family, and so we would like pick cattails from the ditch and then like dry them in the sunshine and dye them and make baskets out of them. That would just be one of the things that Enid would teach us to do. And then I would take it to Betty's house, and she would be like, let's make more of these for the neighborhood and sell them. And so it was very cool. So I always combined this idea, and I loved, Enid would be like, art is one thing. That's art. Craft is making a lot. I loved the idea of creating a process where I could make one perfect one and then teach other people to help me make 10 perfect ones, and that's entrepreneurship. And that was me at 5 years old, 6 years old. I mean, I just loved it. I had a sister, and we had my grandmother, and then like cousins and friends in the neighborhood, and we would just like constantly be making things like that. And so now, I'm very into like, entrepreneurship and its power to change the just the power dynamic and structure in America, but also like giving all kids the lens of entrepreneurship, because I think it's a lens through which you see the world. So if we can get to, and I've got a program that I'm working on called Made Stand, which is like a lemonade stand, but you can make anything, right? So if we can give kids in third grade the lens of entrepreneurship, you carry that with you for the rest of your life. So when you're in chemistry, whatever it is that you're motivated by, chemistry or skateboarding or burritos or whatever, you're like, can I create value here? Can I make something that people want? Can I, this thing that I love to do, can I make that of value to anybody else here? And you like literally walk into every single room with that lens. And all it takes is one person to just give it to you. And we don't give it to kids in school. They're there to learn other things. And so we have to give them to them, outside school. So I'm thinking about this summer program of Made Stand, turn $10 into $100 by the end of summer, and all this stuff. But COVID got in the way of that. But I'm firing it back up, hopefully by 23.
I love that.
But
name.
Anyway,
it's like such
it's
a
like
cool play on words.
Yeah, because it is. I mean, I think there are some kids who are kind of wired to. I think there's like two kinds of leaders, and we all have both of them that live inside of us, but some a little more than others. There's like the one kind of leader that's just really good at doing what everybody does. And they're like better at it and getting other people to come along, the protocols and rules and we need those people. I need those people in my business. And then there's the other kind of leader, which is what I always call I'll be over here leadership. You know what I mean? It's like you go over on your own island, you start tweaking something. And eventually, everybody ignores you for a really long time and you're really bad at it. And eventually it starts to get good and you start to, it starts to be value to people. And then people start defecting and coming over to your island or whatever. And that sort of, I think it's important to teach that, because we tend to teach the first, and some kids just kind of have that. And some kids also are the supporters and they want to be the chief financial officers, and they're really good at that. And so we have to lift those kids up too and know that you can create a fellowship. There's an idea, but those people need support,
Well, keep us in the loop. I like the Made Stand, and I think there, in this community in particular, there would be some opportunities to.
Yeah, so Made Stand
kids.
markets.
Yep.
We're getting communities, even neighborhoods or even just streets and neighborhoods with kids on them. You can organize a Made Stand market. Communities can do that. So I have a whole thing, and then hopefully they'll get credit for school. I'm ready to go. I'm like
communities that have a farmers market and could set aside some booth space for kids to have Made Stands.
And we've done these with craft markets. My daughter made these like adorable but like very inexpensive bracelets. We sold them for $5. She made $600 in a day at one of the craft fairs. I was like, geez, this is actually like kind of a thing.
Wow. Parker's got to get to work. Man.
Yes.
Start scribbling on that paper a little bit more.
Yeah. So if adults can sort of give kids this place to explore, I think awesome. It can be that lens that we give kids, and we can create more, Jennies and others, Cameron Mitchells, know.
Yep. All right. As we told you in the pre-show meeting, that was very expensive.
The green room.
As we talked in the green room, which is same room.
Same room, and it's not green.
Because it's not green, and we're not one of those places that has our own studio or something like that.
Yeah, we don't have an official board with sound buttons and things.
Yeah. So we finished every podcast with 2 questions. What do you love about UA, and what would you change?
Okay, so what I love, obviously I love UA. First of all, it's like I moved almost every year growing up. And that was an important part of my story, but it was actually, and I loved it. But I would never do that to my own kids. So I can't figure that out exactly. But when I had kids, Arlington was where I graduated from. I went there for 2.5 years in high school, and this is where I came back to. So it's wonderful. And I feel like for me, I was able to safely, I had gone to some schools that weren't quite so safe, but safely become who I wanted to be. And I think Upper Arlington High School does a pretty good job of seeing our kids. And I felt that way when I was there, and I think I'm seeing that with my daughter. She's just started Arlington High School last year, and then my son will be going in 2 years. And I love that. I love the community where you have the safety to show up as you are and grow from that place. So that may be a little different, maybe even than some other people and how they might see it.
Yeah.
The thing that I would change about Upper Arlington, I was just sitting on my porch the other day in the rainstorm, and I was like, oh, it's quiet, is that I think we only have a couple of hours of no noise in Arlington. It's Sunday after 8. So all of my neighbors, and actually, I have people that come and do my yard, so I'm part of it too. It's we all have different hours that we're doing our yards.
Yeah, it's all day.
And it's literally the whole day. So you can't this I like to keep my windows open and not turn on my air conditioning as long as I can. But it's as soon as you're just enjoying it, somebody turns on their leaf blower, and it's just constant.
Yeah.
It literally is constant.
Yeah, it is a good point. My neighborhood, same thing. Where no one's doing anything wrong, but everyone just happens to have a different person mow their lawn a different.
And if we would just say, you know what, do that, during okay, Saturdays, we got to give you Saturday, but maybe Sunday. I don't even care if it's a Monday, but whatever.
Pick a day. Maybe
and let's have the whole day.
Let's pass legislation in the city that says lawn mowing day is officially Monday while we're in city council meeting.
Yes. How about that?
Perfect.
It's only Sunday. So you get a very narrow window to actually do that.
The way our city council meetings have been going, that will give people plenty of time.
Plenty of time. People have a 4-hour span to mow their lawns. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But if there was just one day, that would be.
No.
By the way, before you start writing to hate mail at UA, I'm not going to introduce that legislation.
Okay,
yes.
Good.
Yeah.
So we do have we have 2 emails for resident feedback, depending on how they feel about us. Fan mail at uaoh.net and hate mail at
I love it.
ua.oh.net.
Yes.
So
it's a mouthful, but it's legit.
Jeni, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a lot of fun. We're both really hungry.
We got to stop scheduling these things before lunch.
And the next thing, we do have to get Cameron on at some point. And that one, maybe we'll have actually figured it out to do it somewhere where we'll get some food out of it.
I love it. No, I think about Cameron and Lisa, and I do think that Arlington produces good people with good hearts, and that's such an important part of our community.
That's one of the things that I have really loved about doing this podcast is it does get us the opportunity to talk to really fun, really interesting people. We had Pete Scanlon came on.
Oh, I love him. Just saw him last night.
Yeah. So
another massive heart.
Yes.
And his brother too, and his wife Michelle, her sister is our creative director, Danielle.
Oh, cool.
Another Arlington.
So are you really stoked
person.
about Littleton's Market?
Yes. I was like, can I be on the council or whatever? And they're like, yeah, yes. Really, my daughter was like, please don't make it too gourmet. Just make sure they have candy and cheap ice cream. I was like, okay, that's good feedback.
So did you say candy, yes, cheap ice cream? No.
No, I said, no. I'm such a drumstick and ice cream sandwich person too. Of course, also, Jeni's and all the other ones. But yeah.
Would Jeni's ever make something like a drumstick
Oh,
equivalent? Obviously, we're not going to steal the drumstick
to do
brand,
this forever and ever and ever. Someday, hopefully. We've been trying.
So we do this every time. We say our last two questions.
I know, and then you go back
and then we're like, wait, what?
I just have so many cool bad ice cream ideas that I could just sit here all day. So I'm going to shut up now. Thank you so much.
There are no
coming.
bad ice cream ideas.
except for asparagus. We found that out earlier.
We found out that from the expert.
hey, Thomas Jefferson. Who can argue
Good
with that?
enough for Thomas Jefferson, but not Jeni.
Yes.
Jeni,
I
thanks
love
again.
it. Thanks so much, you guys.
All right.